Hey guys, so in this video I want to create some slow debuffs that we can apply to enemies, and I also want to make it so they can have multiple slows active at the same time, but only the highest one is going to count, they're not gonna stack. So if you apply 50% slow and then 40% slow and 30% slow, only the 50% will be active, and then once it's run out it will check for the second highest one and so on. So this is how it's done in proper games. And to make this work, we will have to also create proper movement speed function that will take into consideration like what the current movement speed of the player or enemy is. So if they are blocking or if they're drinking potion or sprinting or something like that, and then calculate the percentage that it needs to reduce it by. So first thing I want to do is I want to create some effects so we can apply some slows. So in the effects, not in this one, sorry, go to blueprints, structs and deities, and open effect data table, and here we do have one slow, evade slow, but at the moment it doesn't work very well because what I said is it is just changing the value to like half of the speed, but it's not calculating it properly. So I'm going to change this, and this is going to be now slow 50%, and then I'm going to create different slow that I want to have as a debuffs. So slow 40% and slow 30% and slow 20%. Open the Chrome, so slow 20% and slow 10%. So I'll have 5 different slows that I can apply with effects. And then what we need to do, we also want to create this in conditions. But first, actually, let me change this because this one has effect chance of 100% and the rest of them has 0. So change it to 100 on all of them. So there is 100% chance we can apply this effect. And then in the conditions, first let's go to enumerators, and for conditions we also have conditions enumerator, and we want to create it here. We already have evade slow here as well, that applies the debuff, but I'm going to change it again to slow 50%. This is not what it needs to be called, this is just what it's going to say in a data table, but we can change the actual name because it's easier to understand what it actually does if you put how much it's going to slow by. So slow 50%, and again just create all of the slows you want to have. Doesn't need to be exactly by 10%, you can have like 12.5 or 15 or something. So I'm going to do 50, 40, 30, slow 20, and slow 10%. Alright, save it. And then in the blueprints again, structs and deities, we open conditions, data table, and here same name again as we have in the enumerator, so slow 50% instead of evade slow. And here what I said is you can change the name to something different, you know, so later on when we display the buffs it won't say slow 50%, it will say the actual name of the debuff. So it can be winter chill or something like that, you know, whatever you want. And then add 4 more, so slow 40%, slow 30%, slow 20%, so all of the different debuffs, and slow 10%. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 5 seconds, this one will be 10 seconds, so it will be a little bit longer later on for testing. I'm just going to change any icon. Then 30 will be 15 seconds, and again some different icon. And 20 will be 20 seconds, and 10 will be 25 seconds, and cool. So wait, this one is 15, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, perfect. So they will all last a little bit longer than the previous one. Save it, and now we do have conditions and effects. We need to go to conditions component, so you can open it through the player, we can just edit it. And here we do have this function that I have open here, apply effect, so this one. And here we need to type in the manually what effects we want to actually activate. So instead of evade slow, we now need to rename it to slow 50%. And then we need to add 4 more pins and do again all the slows, so 40%. This is switching on the name from the data table, so again make sure it's spelled the same way as you have it in effects, otherwise it won't work. So all the slows, and now we want to create a condition, so 50% will go from 50%. This will create condition 40% slow. So effects are just applying basically conditions at the moment. Effects later on will be used for, I don't know, causing the explosion also, or when you hit something you might be able to spawn follower or something like that, whatever you actually want. At the moment it's only for conditions. So slow 30%, 20 and 10. And then 20 goes here and 10. So once you have this connected, compile and save it. And then for the conditions itself, we need to go to condition component this time. So blueprint, components, and condition. This is where all the conditions are being activated. So in the set condition function, we got all of this. And on the bottom, we want to basically change this. This used to be evade slow. And as you can see, we're only changing the movement speed by flat value, which is not correct, because if the enemy is sprinting, he have different movement speed, and then we're messing it up, basically not checking anything else. So I'm going to double click here so I don't have to drag it from the top, and delete these two. And then what we want to do is we want to create the map array that will hold the active slows. So then when one expires, we can check if there is another one. I think the best place to create it would be in the conditions component here, because I think slow is a condition, so all the movement speed and stuff like that can be in conditions component. If you want, you can create it in stats component, it doesn't matter. Here I'm going to want to create new map array variable, but map array needs a selector first. So what we're going to choose by, and I like to use enumerators. So in the blueprints, enumerators, I'm going to create one more. So go to blueprints, enumeration, and this one I will call slow types underscore e. Open it up, and here we're going to add 5 entries, and again it will be slow 50%, slow 40%, slow 30%, slow 20%, and slow 10%. There we go. Now back to conditions component. We can probably close at least this enumerator here and slow types. And in conditions component, I'm going to create a new variable. This one will be active slows, or whatever you want to call it, active slows. It sounds good. Enumerator we're looking for is slow types enumerator, and then we can change it here to map array. And second one, we can leave integer. This is going to count how many of the same slows we have active. It's not really that important to keep track, but then in case your abilities apply 2 of the same slows, so on Ice Spike you have 50% slow, and on, I don't know, evade shot you have 50% slow, then you will have 2 active. So if one expires, it needs to check if there is a second one active, otherwise it won't slow down enemies. So slow type E and integer. And then just compile this. And how we're going to use it is we go to condition, and here we need to, this component we're getting by class, we're going to get conditions component, and from there we will get that slow, active slows. And first thing we want to do is branch. We want to check if we are turning it on or off, this condition. And then we're going to find from there. Find. And here we can select which slow. So we are at the moment connecting the slow 50%. So here we're going to set it to 50%. We're going to look for it if it's already in the map array. And if it is, we'll do branch. So if this was found, this will return true. Let me move this whole thing down because it's going to overlap. So if this was found, that means there is already that slow in the map array. So we're going to, from active slow, we're going to add. And we're going to get this value, which is the value of how many of those same type slows we have. And we're going to add 1 to it and then set it here. And if it wasn't found, we just need to, again, from active slows, we're going to add it. And this time we will set integer to 1 because this is the first debuff we have. Then on false, when we're turning off this condition, we need to do one more branch again. From the active slows, we're going to be finding, so find. And we're looking for slow 50%, and we're going to check if this value equals 1. So if there is only one of these debuffs, and if it's true, then from active slows we're going to remove, which will remove this slow completely from the map array. And if it's not the last one, so if there is more than one, we're going to, from active slows, we're going to add. And we will set it to this one, this value that it found, -1. So if there is two different slows of the same value, then it will be one less. All right, and this is pretty much the function that we need for slows to apply it. And we can reuse it for all of these slows, so we don't have to create it over and over. And for that, we will let me copy this component. We will need it later, component by class, and then everything else as it is. What we don't need here, this is on. Just hold control and get it out so it's not in the copy, and then right click, we're going to collapse to function, and this one will be apply slow or set slow. I'll do set slow. Set slow, and then inside pretty much everything is fine, but we want to connect one of these values. Don't connect it directly because then it doesn't let us edit the value outside of this function. Just create it manually, and this one will be slow types. Slow types, and that will go, also rename it to slow type. And we need to connect it everywhere where we're looking for that slow. So here, 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 another one, and this one here. So make sure you have all of them connected, otherwise it won't work correctly. So double check it and then go back. Now we do have this slow 50%, and the condition is nicely packed in a function, so we can move it up here. And then let's duplicate it 4 more times. So duplicate, 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 and duplicate. And this one will be 40, 30, 20, and 10. Then we will connect them. So from 40 it goes to 40. I need to pack these conditions into nodes so it's shorter because it's a mess. And as you can see, it takes very long time on the video to actually do this. So I apologize. I will try to clean it up after the video. And then when we connect this, now basically we're keeping track of all the slows that are being applied and removed. So we want to also check how much we need to slow down the movement speed by. So we need to create a function that will check what is the highest slow. So in the conditions component again, let's create one more, and this will be check highest slow. Not sure if that makes sense. Lowest slow, slowest slow, whatever. Check highest slow. And it doesn't need any input. What it needs is actually we're going to create 2 local variables, and this one will be local highest slow, which will be just float, single variable, and then we're going to duplicate it, and this one will be current highest slow. So both of these should be 0 by default, and then we're going to get these active slows. We just need keys from it. We don't need values because we don't need to check in this function how many slows we have applied. We just want to find the highest one. So from here, for each loop, and then we need to switch on this element, so on these types of slow, and we're going to set this local highest slow, set it here to 50. So we'll set manually the value of the percentage it needs to slow us by. 40, again duplicate it 5 times, and 30, 20, 10, and then we're going to compare this local highest slow that we just set, and if it's greater than the current highest slow, then we will do branch from all of these. So all 5 needs to be connected, and if it is, so if this value is higher than 0 to begin with and then it's increasing, then we're going to set the current highest slow to this local highest slow, and then we just need to, on the completed, we're going to return this value, so current highest slow. Get it and just connect it as a pin to node, and here will be a slow value. Alright, so it will return one of these values, 50, 40, 30, 20 or 10 depending on the slow. It will find the highest one, and then to process this function, so now it's checking for the highest slow. We can also go back to condition and connect it here. So this is why I copy this part, because I need a component and I need to get a highest slow function and connect it to all of this. And now we just need a function that will set the correct movement speed depending on what slow we have applied. So in the player, we do have function that we set up, set movement speed. So what it does is we can change the different movement types, and based on that it will either keep the current that we have and check if we are overburdened as well, reduce the speed by 2.5, and then on like drinking potion, sprinting and stuff, we have set up the values. So we can reuse this one because it works pretty well, and we will just add one addition which will reduce the speed by slow. So let's also move this whole function to conditions component. So we can use it on the enemies as well. It will be more modular. So copy it, go to conditions, and here paste it. And then one addition will be in the input. We need to create new input, and this one will be slow value, which will be float. And here you can see we don't have current movement type, so we're going to create variable in this component, current movement type, and we also need overburden. So if the inventory is full, then we need to slow ourselves. Everything else, also the character movement component. For that, get owner, because we are inside the component, so we will get owner and get component by class. And we need to find character movement component, and we will change the max walk speed, and here we do have max swim speed as well, just in case. Compile and save. And now to change the values, what we want to do is let's remove this one for now, overburdened, connect this local speed to max walk speed. And before this part, we're going to do one more select. And this is going to check if this slow value, or get it as variable, get slow value, is greater than 0. So if there is any slow being applied, and if it is, then we need to divide slow value by 100. So if it's 40, it will give us 0.4. And then we also want to subtract, so minus. And we will disconnect the top one, add it to the bottom one, and we will do 1 minus this. So if it's 0.4, we will get 0.6. And that we will multiply by this value. So this value will be multiplied by this value. So it will give us 60% of the current speed. So basically 40% slow, and that will be true. If it's not, if there is no slow, we will just be using this one. And then we also want to check if we are overburdened, which will reduce the speed by 50% again. So one more select from this, just a regular select. We will check this overburdened, and if it's true, so if it's false, it will just be this variable. If it's true, we need to multiply this by 0.5, which will give us 50% of the movement speed, and that we're going to subtract from this value. So we reducing the base movement speed by 50%, not the slowed value already. Otherwise we will be slowing and it will be calculating quite weirdly. So we need to do it from the base value and then subtract it, and that will be true. Just in case, I would also clamp this, because it might happen that if we have some really high slow or something, it might go into minus values, which probably won't happen, but just in case, clamp float and do it between 0 and like 2000, and that goes to true. So if we are overburdened, and that's pretty much it. Compile and save. This is how we slow the player down or enemy. But also you don't want to have all the enemies having the same movement speed, so you want to be able to edit them. And the easiest way to do that would be just to set up one more variable, which will be default movement speed. And we will get it. And then these values we just need to calculate from this one. So then when you change just one variable on like begin play or something, it will change all of them. So let's say this is normal. Then sprint would be, what's the percentage of this one? What's this one, percentage of this one, whatever. We just need to multiply this by, what is it, 1.6, because 10% is 50, so 1.6, that's 160% will be sprint. Potion is 150, so that will be times 0.3, so 150. Keep current nothing, and block can go again 150, so this one. And you can see how you can set up different movement types. Normal, then connect here and make sure this default, let's change it to 500 by default. Alright, and now basically if you want to have on the player, for example, you can go to conditions component, and then you have default movement speed 500, and you can set it here and it will change the whole function for you. Same on the enemies. Then best thing would be also to call it on the begin play. So I have event begin play, so I could maybe call it somewhere here in the beginning. I'm going to get conditions component and set max, set movement speed. Yeah, set movement speed, and just keep current. This will just keep whatever movement speed is currently on. Won't change anything, but it will set those values as they're supposed to be from that variable. So keep current. And now what else we need to do? So conditions component. Yeah, this is pretty much the same thing. I'm not going to set up swim speed now because I don't have any aquatic enemies, and I'm not planning to really have combat underwater. But if you do, just do the exactly same thing as you have here and connect it to max swim speed. Just change the values, obviously. So exactly the same thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go back to condition, and after we have checked this highest slow, we're going to set movement speed, and then this will be the slow value that calculated. And here we need to keep current, because if the enemy or player is sprinting already, we don't want to change that. We want to keep sprinting unless the player cancels it. It's just we want to apply the slow. And now if I go to my abilities, sorry, I'm all over the place. I know this tutorial might be quite difficult, but it's what needs to be done. And here in my ice spike, I'm going to add all the effects, all the different slows. So effects data table, slow 10%. I'm going to duplicate. It doesn't open. This is a bit annoying. So 20. Duplicate 10, 10, 30%, duplicate 40%, and duplicate 50%. So it's not in the order, but when you open it up, you should have all the different speeds: 10, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, yeah. Save it. Conditions. Let me double check. I changed it. So all of them will be for 5 seconds longer. So now when I cast Ice Spike, I should be able to apply all 5 different slows. And as they will expire, because each one is different time, you will see that the enemy will be speeding up. So let's see if I didn't mess anything up, because as I said, it is quite difficult, this whole movement thing. So now when I apply this, there you go, he's got 5 slows. Now come to me, you can see he's slowed, this is 50%. Now one of them is gone, he's a little bit faster. Another one is gone, he's faster again, he's almost like running or walking fast. Now another one is gone, this is only by 20%. That one is gone, he's only 10% slowed. And now when the last one expires, there we go, he's full speed. So that is working completely fine. You can apply different slows and it will always apply the slowest one or the highest slow. You know what I mean? And then if you reapply it, obviously it will reapply all the slows as well. So let me show you. There we go, all of them are being refreshed and it seems to be working quite fine. Now the last thing we need to do in this video is we need to actually adjust it in the player, because we just moved this movement speed function from the player to conditions component. So what we want to do is probably just find references by name. Don't do all, because that will find the ones in the condition component as well. And then let's go one by one. And here we're setting the movement speed to block or normal. So we're going to get conditions component and set movement speed. And we also want to check the slow value. So when we start blocking, we might have a slow. So let's check highest slow. And here set it to block, same as it was before. Delete this one and connect it here. And then let's copy this whole thing, paste it here on the bottom, and this one needs to be normal. Let's go to second one was here, so this one is in combat where we're blocking, so paste, and this one will be block. Next one is down here, setting it back to normal, so paste it again, normal, check weight, so we will extend it, delete this one, it's supposed to keep current, so we're going to keep current speed. Overburdened now, we also need to get it from the conditions component. So for overburdened, we will set overburdened, hold control, connect it here, hold control, connect this one here, and hold control, and this value will go here. Next one is set movement speed in disable sprint, so that's normal. check highest low and normal. And then here set movement speed, that is the function itself. Event begin play, we have set that up now. Sprint, we do have sprinting here. Delete this, paste, and sprint. And then last two are when we're drinking potion. So all these I need to move because I don't have space here. And then delete this one, paste it. That needs to be potion. And the last one is when we return it back to normal. I'm going to paste it first because there is two execution pins. I don't want to mess it up, so just hold Control and transfer it and change it to normal. C. Control Z, go back if you messed up like me. And then this is it. So now when you compile and save, and then remove set movement speed from here, no issues because we have replaced it everywhere. And you should be able to also remove overburdens. I need to search for it. Overburdened, delete, not being used, so it's deleted. If it says that it's being used, you need to find out where and replace it. And now just one more quick test. I know this video is very long, but in the enemies, I'm going to add them effect. So conditions components and effects, I'm going to give them like 30% slow or something. Where is the effects data table? Slow 30%. So when they hit me, they will apply it because I want to test it out on a player. So now let them hit me. There we go. I'm slowed if I don't have stamina to sprint. Why I don't have stamina? Because it didn't. Yeah, it didn't cancel sprinting, I think. So there is one more issue that we have. Sorry guys, I had to check what I messed up because I didn't want to do it for too long on the video. And I found a couple of the issues. First one, the bigger one, let's go to conditions component. And here we need to flip these two. So from this select, it will go to this one because we want to subtract this value from the bottom one. It's very important because otherwise we won't be moving when we're overburdened. So switch it around like this. Oops, compile and save. And then the couple more issues we have in the player is just because we do have this current movement type still here and it's being used, but it's now moved to condition component. That's why it's messing up the sprint and everything else. So find references of this variable by name and then go one by one. Again, here we need to get conditions component, get current movement type, and just connect it to this enum. It's the same type. And then delete this one. And then go to this second pair. Oh, there's just one. Actually, go to this first one, copy this part, and then go to second one. And paste it here. Connect it, make sure it's sprint. And yeah, that is it. Compile and save it. And then we should be able to delete this current movement type. And then the last issue is because we do have this drain stamina function, but in the set movement speed, we are actually turning it off. But since it's now in the condition component as well, we can't turn off drain stamina because it doesn't exist here, that function. We could just move the function here, but it's quite complex and there is a lot of checks, so I don't want to do that. It's going to be easier if we turn it off with like interface function or something. So let's go to blueprints and interfaces folder. Open one of them, doesn't matter, you can add it to combat or something. I'll probably add it to interact. And here I'm going to create a new function, which will be stop drain stamina. Compile, back to conditions component, and here we're going to get owner and stop drain stamina message. Delete this one. Connect it back, and then in the player we're going to find it. So stop drain stamina, and we're going to clear timer by function name and just type in drain stamina, same as the function name. Right, compile and save, and hopefully now it should all work. So let me just see if I can get overburdened here. So pick up all these items. There we go. I'm just walking at half the normal speed. Then if one of these guys slow me down, I don't want to get both of them. I got them anyway. So you can see I'm even slower. I should be something around 80%, give or take, because it's by percentage. And then when the slow runs out, I should go back to like half a speed, regular overburden. Then I can drop some of these items or equip pants, drop this, drop this, drop this. I can sprint, I can slow down sprint. I can also be sprinting with slow, and you can see that I'm just 30% slower at the moment, even when I'm sprinting. So you can see like I'm walking slower. Even sprinting, you can't really see that much, but I'm sprinting usually much faster. And yeah, this is all working fine. So we do have proper movement speed function. We can apply speed, slows and everything else, even on the enemies. And yeah, let me just say this was probably my least favorite video to make. It was just so many issues, so many things to think about, so I absolutely hated it. But now it's done. We can, you know, in the AI section, it's going to be easier to use any speed function and stuff like that. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, at least more than I did, and I'll see you in the next. Bye.